Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the J2iCS Endurance Series here from Spa, a series that brings GTP racing across the world over the course of 90 minutes of racing, or indeed 2 hours, depending on which round we're at. But we're at a 90-minute race here today at one of the world's most famous circuits, especially for this kind of racing. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, and Jim Cunningham with you for this round of the championship. Apologies for the slight audio problems in the last couple of moments. That has meant we started a little bit late, but we're in time for the race, and that's the most important thing as we get on with this season once again. The drivers are just pulling up for the start of a pace lap at the moment, and we'll be on board with them as they go along. It's Bozak who's taken the pole position here for this one, with only 9,000ths of a second in hand over Nottavin. Simply Steve and Gavin Amman are sharing row 2 with just over a second back. Nick Beaver, then it's Edmundust in 6th. Springflat and Jason Winucki are next, Hendon Nicolator and Biker Pilot rounding out the top 10. Ryan Schwab is in 11th place, and I believe that's it for us here tonight in this category. GTP's at Spa. So it's notable, I suppose, that Nottavin and Beaver are both up towards the front, but not on pole. Bozak has taken that pole position. The reason I mentioned those two is because they're only 5 points apart in the championship at the moment. Nottavin ahead by just 5 points ahead of Beaver. Nicolator is next, then followed by Bozak. He's still got an outside chance, but probably needs to get some wins on the board here across the course of this season, which he's not been able to do so far. Jason Winucki is next, and then you get to those drivers who have not been at all the rounds so far, or indeed are not at this round here tonight at Spa. There are the championship standings. As you can see, it's Nottavin versus Beaver very much for the championship this season. As I mentioned, those two are the only ones that have won any races this season up until 2 weeks ago, when we finally got a different winner for the first time. And so there we go. That was Aragon back at round 5. This though is Spa. And we're almost ready to go. Good evening, Jim. Good to have you alongside me. It's GTP racing at Spa. Not much that we can tell people that they don't already know about this, really. It's a very, very well-used combination. I'm hoping the fact that the drivers are experienced around here is going to mean that it's good racing here tonight in the Endurance Series.
It's, well, let's see. Apparently, we've got a driving line on. Let me get that off real quick, and we'll be in business. Yeah, I mean, it's Spa, man. Everybody... everybody loves Spa. It's or everybody knows Spa. Maybe everybody doesn't love it, but it is. It's definitely a favorite of mine, and sports cars around here is what this place is all about. So this is a great combo, I think.
Yeah, we'll just get that driving line off, and we'll be ready to go for the. Or the racers, they're only on the pace lap at the moment. It must be a new development that they start the pace lap from the run down towards the campus chicane there, which is something I've not seen before.
Yeah, they're starting to do that. I think with the alternate pits, and I did not have time to look because of that audio problem, but I'm assuming that we're probably starting from the alternate pits, not the Grand Prix pits. And if that's the case, they usually start after turn 1, which I'm blanking on the name of turn 1 right now, just for trying to get back in the groove here.
Yeah, La Source, that first corner.
Yes,
but we'll see whether. Oh dear! Well, already, Gavin, who is that? Amundust actually was trying to. Well, a bit of a false start actually. Tried to get going on the left-hand side there, straight out the final corner, but didn't in the end. And it's a run down towards turn 1. Oh, and that's off the road. Unfortunately for Gavin Amman there, he got that all wrong in towards La Source for the very first time. He's got way off. He's down to 11th now. That is not a good start from him, as he got it all crossed up under brakes and went straight on almost at turn number 1. Up over the top of the hill they will go then. And it's going to be Bozak who leads the way ahead of Nottavin, the two Cadillacs that have dominated this season. At the front again here as they run down the long Kemmel Straight now up towards Lecombe. It's going to be Bozak who leads ahead of Nottavin, who's got Beaver right alongside him and not quite getting through this time around. So Nottavin stays in front of his championship rival. But it's Bozak who leads, and a very messy start, I've got to say, from Gavin Amman, who very nearly crashed into the back of a few people in towards turn number 1 there. Went straight on in the first braking zone of this lap.
Yeah, this is I'm trying to work on that sound thing. Yeah, this is quite an interesting start there. I think we're settled down enough. Let's go back and take a look at that Ammerman incident real quick.
So, for some reason,
want to do that at full speed even.
For some reason, Neighbourdust was pretty fast out of the final corner and just expected them to go immediately. Then he got pegged back and just gets on the grass.
Yes,
there you go. It's
he
a
touched
little
the
bit
grass.
of a wheel on the grass.
Touched the Ammerman. So let's see what happened here. I don't know if this was major or not, but this is Nicollator.
Oh, it was. Oh no,
big.
That's hard. Wow.
Oh, yeah, that was big.
Nicollator. That's Nicollator in the wall. That's pretty hard as well. That's front right damage. And that could be minutes worth of repairs for Nicollator, unfortunately, in the accurate. That's not going to turn very well.
No, he's having
right-handers.
He's having other incidents as well. So he's in he's in trouble here.
It's because he can't turn.
Yeah, he's going to have to tow it, looks like. All right.
Wow. That's not good news for Nicollator to start this race. Unfortunately, third place in the championship. He's going to lose that to Bozak very easily if things stay as they are right now, because Bozak's leading the race after all. On board with Notvin as they complete the opening lap of the race. The front three staying very close together as they run up the hill for the second time. And over the top at Eau Rouge. Beaver is in the slipstream as well here as they make their way up the Kemmel Straight, but no moves are going to be made up the top here by the looks of things. They will stay single file at these front three, but clean start from them at least, for the most part, other than Gavin, Ammerman, I suppose, into turn one. But for Nicollator further down the field, it has been a pretty clean start, but Bozak has not quite stamped his authority on this race just yet. He has only just got his nose out front, really, in this race at the moment. Yeah,
I'm just going to be curious to see here how it what develops from here. If we're going to if Notvin is going to stick with him here and what Beaver's going to do. Beaver's got I thought that was a trading paints issue. It may be, but I just refreshed to see. I thought Beaver's running an almost full white livery there.
Yeah, almost. I think that is a design because he's got some little bits on it.
Yeah, so that's what I think that's it. I thought it was a mistake, and I went to see, but no, I guess he just going with that white livery tonight.
Yeah, well, I guess because it comes so standard with every car that people forget to use white as a base colour at all. So he's actually been quite different by keeping it as a design, and I don't mind it actually.
No, it's all right.
He's just in the crowd. We've got Bozak out front, by the way, using one of the I think RS in standard liveries actually. Out front in the Cadillac. This is a bit further backwards. I think this is another standard livery as well that Springflat has got on in the Cadillac as well.
Yeah, that does look like
I'm racing these cars. I can be bothered.
That does look like a Cadillac factory livery, I think. Sorry about that. I couldn't hear you. I'm still working on that. Yeah, that does look like standard Cadillac factory livery, or one of the two they have. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I run the dark blue one when I'm racing the Cadillac myself. Notvin is closing in over the top of the hill here for the lead of the race, but I wouldn't imagine he's close enough to make a move here. It's quite close, but in towards Lecombe. Yeah, not quite able to do anything this time round.
Well,
as he set the fastest lap of the race.
He's smart enough not to send it right there, I think,
Yeah.
All right, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah. Well, it's still early on in the race, and so he's not willing to put it all on the line just yet. And of course, noting that we do have a pit stop in this race for all of these drivers, because we are in the GTP class after all. That does mean that there is likely to be a lot of fuel saving in the first part of this race, and that might be what Notvin is more thinking about. Rather than making overtakes, he might be thinking about how can I more smartly get through this race, as he puts the pressure onto Bozak. Beaver's not too far away either, as you can see, just in behind. And it's Notvin and Beaver who are 1 and 2 in this championship at the moment as they kick up the gravel here, brought onto the circuit by Nicollator out of the camper chicane and in towards Stavalo. And Bozak will keep his lead just for the moment, while Notvin continues to get closer and apply the pressure. This could be a bit of a story of the race for these two.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the times back here in the back, and they're turning some pretty quick laps all the way down in the field here. I guess these tires have finally come in now. They're starting to go. Nodovan, he turned the fastest lap of the race on his last lap. And Bozak's lap was right there as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Now it's Beaver it just turned the fastest lap of the race. Wow.
They traded it through laps 1, 2, and 3. So obviously Bozak got the first one because the race leader always does. The second lap, Notovin got it. Third lap, Beaver got it. So they've exchanged it quite a lot, and that just shows you how close these three are in terms of speed. As the cloud comes over, by the way, you saw the Kemmel straight there. The clouds just almost changed halfway down. All of a sudden, looks very gloomy here. Don't know what the forecast is looking like, actually. Probably should have checked that. But it is a partly cloudy day. So we're seeing or hearing from the iRacing session. 0% chance of rain, but my goodness, it doesn't look like that right now, does it? It's very overcast.
Yeah, it's, well, there's some clouds off. I mean, a few clouds off in that direction, but there's some nice blue sky over that way. Of course, it's Spa, you know. The weather can change in just a minute or two around here.
Yeah, it can. Although on our sheet here it is saying that 0% chance of rain here today. Should mention actually, but that you might be wondering where Cunningham is. He was here last week, or the week before rather. We do alternating endurance and sprint series rounds, by the way, in the J2iCS. It is a week off, unfortunately, for Cunningham. He did practice on 9, which is a little bit slower than what the others have been able to do over the course of this season, and that's all these sessions. That's fair enough. They all got quicker as they went along. However, unfortunately, didn't see him here, the winner 2 weeks ago. We are instead looking at the front three, really, for a realistic race winner, and they all were in the low 2-minute 4s that time around. Notovin was a little bit quicker, and Bozak's got a little bit wide there through turn 1, and maybe Notovin's going to have a chance here. Gets very close on the run down the hill now in towards Eau Rouge and over the top at Radion as well. He is really, maybe even too close here. You can get the slipstream quite quickly and easily, but can you get the slingshot? Notovin might well just have that. Oh no, he's going to get into the back of him maybe. Goodness me, driving down the grass on the Kemmel straight here, getting right up behind Bozak. And there is a show of his intent. He wants to save fuel. He doesn't want to make this overtake just for the moment.
Yeah, you're right. He 100% got up under. Oh, no.
Oh, no. What's gone on here? Notovin. All of a sudden, the championship leader is off in the gravel and stopped on the side of the road through Malmedy.
Yeah,
what has gone on here?
That had to be an equipment failure. It had to be.
Yeah, well, at the moment, he still can't exit. I suppose he doesn't need to escape because he is off the road.
I wonder if his wheel, had some kind of, here, let's do this. Where is it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
See if we can get cockpit view of...
yeah, that's what I'm going to do here.
We can try and figure this one out for the moment, but that is a very puzzling one. Here is the vision.
There.
Oh no, he just pulls off himself. I wonder whether there's some sort of personal he's had to deal with in real life, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's I'm going to look at it.
Sudden.
I want to see it one more time because it does look like he did it, but
yeah, he did.
But maybe not. I mean, I don't know. The fact that the wheels turned right there makes me think he did do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident he did do that. And unfortunately, he's out the race.
Yeah, he's gone.
I hope, hopefully everything's okay there because that looks to me like something in real life has gone on there, and he's had to pull out
some passing on somebody who's not drops out of the race or something.
Well, yeah, that's what he's. But based on our recent experience with this series, not many people do drop out the races, so it's going to be very difficult. He's already going to be, laps behind these guys out front, so he's not going to overtake these guys. It's very, very damaging indeed for his championship aspirations, and that is going to give Beaver the championship lead, and what a lead it's going to give him as well. with just 2 rounds to go after this one. In 2 weeks' time, we've got Sebring before Motegi at the end of May at the Crown Jewel race, one of 2. And that starts a little bit earlier, of course. That'll be a 2-hour race. And, Nottingham going to go into it with a big pace disadvantage. We were told at the start of the day that there will be 2 battles in terms of points to really look out for. Obviously, that one for the championship lead between Beaver and Nottingham, and also the one for third, which is Nicoletta versus Bozak. And in the first 10 minutes, both of those battles, for first and for third, have had major problems for one of the contenders.
Yeah, it's, wow. Yeah, that's, I don't even know what to say about that. I hate that for him, man. But yeah, I'm sure there are several people that are at least somewhat relieved by that, should we say? I mean, I believe they have a drop race, right?
I believe. Well, I believe so.
I should know that. I can't believe I don't.
Rules. Need to check the rules on that, but yeah, it's.
Who do you have in the
It's
pits?
one that could save quite a few drivers here this time round. Yeah, well, according to the Road Series rules in the website, there's 2 drop weeks, but obviously there's 2 different series. Does that mean that it's different? Does it mean differs between sprint and endurance? I don't know, but anyway, not ideal. Nottingham's got back into the session now, but he is going to be a lap behind almost everybody here. He's only going to be not a lap behind, and he's actually coming out the pit lane now, so he's got that resolved. I don't know what it was, of course, but he's only not a lap behind Nicoletta, who is 1.5 minutes ahead of him. So you're right, he is going to lap and hope that somebody goes off in front of him so that he can pick up the pieces and maybe come through afterwards a little bit later. But now he's down in 11th.
Every point helps, I guess. I mean, yeah. That's all you can say at this point. I mean, he's obviously out of contention in the race, but, it's entirely possible that a person or 2 suffers damage and ends up, he'll end up getting ahead of them maybe if they have to pit and repair it or something like that.
It's very, very fortunate that both of our battles have been stripped away here early on, which is unfortunate, but it's going to have a very good effect on the race lead battle, I think, between Bozak and Beaver. They're both going to want the full points here this time around. So we will wait and see what happens with those guys. The battle for 4th place is Simply Steve versus Springfly and Jason Winucki as well, who are all battling 1, 2, and 3. Iberduster's got 5 seconds either side of him. He's got absolutely no one around him for the moment, but he is giving us 3 different manufacturers inside of the top 3 for the moment. Simply Steve is the one on the defensive, and 2 weeks ago, I've got to say I was pretty impressed with him at Aragon. We'll see whether he can back this up with a top 5 here. As you saw in the background there, though, he's under a lot of pressure from Springfire, and there's a half spin from Jason Winucki, who drops from 6th to 7th now at the expense of Garen Ammerman, who's now up 5 places after his incident through turn 1.
Yeah, that's worked out pretty well. I mean, he's recovered nicely from that. Let's go back and see what happened to Winucki there. Yeah, that's probably the wrong camera to look at it. Let's see. Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how many times I've done that.
Yes. Yeah, it's. I know that. I was just reading our notes before we came on to the broadcast here, mentioning about Eau Rouge and Radion being difficult on cold tyres. I must admit, when I'm driving these cars, I find the real low-speed corners on traction the most difficult, actually.
100%.
Cold tyres.
I agree.
Rather than maybe these guys are better than us. But
clearly they have better throttle control than we do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't put the power down at all on cold tyres.
No,
but these guys can manage it. It's the high speeds, by the sounds of things, that they seem to really struggle with. But that is interesting, isn't it? I mean, it shouldn't be cold tyres that Winucki was struggling with there. He should be well up to temperature now. As Springfly goes round the outside through Campus, this is unbelievable. You don't often see that through the first part of the chicane, but he's got it done. That was a very good pass indeed, and that puts Springfly up to 4th place.
That was seriously for real right there. Wow. I'm going to definitely go back and take a look at that here in a minute. That was exceptional. Let's see. How do I want to? Maybe we'll look at that from the chopper view, huh? Let's see what we got. That was so good.
Well, it's always the peril of defending the inside a little bit. It's that you get around the outside through the first bit, you're through really, but it doesn't mean that it's any less impressive. That was spring flat through on the outside, turning to the inside, and that was a fantastic overtake move.
I honestly don't think I've ever seen anybody pass on the outside there. Well, that's
right.
That's not going to be good, I don't think.
That looked weird as well.
Almost well, technical. I think we're fixing to have an incident here. Yep.
Oh no, he just nearly spun, and so just locked the tyres up to prevent him from going around. But Gavin Owen gets another place, so he's now back into the top 5, even despite going off at turn 1.
Spring Flower, yeah, right. Spring Flower makes that nice pass, and then makes what you would think is a simple spin, or not half spin, I guess you'd call it, but that was. It's funny that you got the throttle and car control to make that pass he made a little while ago, and then, struggle there. But that's racing, man. Especially in these cars. These cars are tough to get on the throttle.
They are, yeah. And they are very difficult to drive as well. I think especially when you consider the downforce packages that you might have on here at this circuit as well. I think medium's probably the best way to go, to be honest, personally. But, if people have gone for the low downforce setup more predominantly, then obviously better chances to pass down in towards Ecom especially. But it does make it very difficult through the corners. And that's why, especially over the course of 90 minutes, I think you'd want the medium. Downforce setup, there's a little bit wide from Gavin Hammond. Doesn't mean that it's an entirely nice setup in terms of the downforce, by the way. Anything lower than the high downforce. And some corners, you do feel a little bit lethargic sometimes in this GTP. But Gavin there just going a little bit wide into the gravel. He's not going to be punished for it, though. Springflower not close enough down in towards the bus stop chicane.
So one of the things I just thought about here, let's we can look here and put the top speeds up. Well, it may take them a second to populate, and we can see if anybody's got significantly better, a top speed or something, which would indicate that maybe they're running a lower downforce setup. I don't know why that's not populating. That's really weird.
That is a bit weird, yeah. I don't know. Well, I can't tell you why not. but there you go. I'd imagine there's been some consensus across the field, but maybe not as well. I guess not. Again, I refer to the notes we were given before each broadcast, and it does mention that it might be a variation across the board, but maybe not as well. Maybe there's been a consensus around the medium downforce. Generally, I think the downforce racing setups are a little bit deceptive actually in the GTPs, because it says medium downforce, but really what they mean is any circuit with a long straight in it. As Springfire's looking to try to go around the outside again, he's not going to strike twice there on that one. Gavin Hammond is just about going to stay in front in that 5th position. And so maybe needed a bit more downforce there, did Springflower, but obviously isn't going to get it. Through Stavelo, and now the curve pull Frere, and again out onto, again, Hammond goes wide there. He's got to be careful with that on the outside of the circuit. But yes, just over 20 minutes into this one, Springflower looking to regain that place again after losing it a few laps ago.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly had the speed to catch him and pass him, catch and pass Simply Steve. Obviously, Winecki was behind him, recovering from that early spin. Ammerman was behind him, trying to recover from that early spin. So, and Ammerman has definitely got speed. But I'd be curious to see here if Springflower does have the speed to to catch back up and try that again. But my question is, he's had a couple little incidents now. I wonder if he's, could have heated his tires up or, taken a little extra wear on his tires, and maybe that's going to be a struggle potentially for him. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I think the tyres are going to be a bit of a role here. So you pulled up the temperatures earlier. I think it said high 90s, didn't it? Maybe I misread that. But,
So what I did there, I changed the. My intention was to put this up with the race info. That way people watching in America didn't have to do the conversion because the race info's in Celsius. So I figured this would give us both things. But again, I was rushing and we didn't really do that. But so yeah, track temperature is, what does it say here?
92.
92. Yeah, that's not, that's high, but that's not horrible. I don't think it gets really bad till you get over 100.
No, yeah. Well, that is true. It is. Since I'm the only person here who is using Celsius, I think Fahrenheit's probably the best one we should go for. As they're both off again there, Simply Steve and Gavin Oman. Yeah, low 90s. I think it's okay. I just think that you've got to take care of these tyres really in that kind of stint. I must admit I haven't done very much driving over the course of a long stint like these drivers are going to do here. 45 minutes on it. I haven't done that, but I think it is going to be a problem towards the end if you're using the fronts a little bit too much. I think it's especially a problem in lower downforce setups as well. If you are on the low downforce setup or even medium and driving incorrectly, you can very quickly go through the tyres a lot quicker than you'd imagine, because you're just using a bit more turning radius. You lean on the tyres a bit more when you have got less downforce to use, and so that could be a problem. We'll maybe find out a little bit later what kind of downforce settings they're on with the way they're going through their tyres, but it's not going to happen within 25 minutes, which we're still in here, and these three are still running nose to tail behind Simply Steve, who's still in fourth.
So I pulled the flags up for the drivers just to see. We've got two Canadians and a French flag in here. So in theory, three of those would use the Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. I believe Canada does. I'm not 100% sure.
I think America is the only country
that doesn't surprise me.
Alongside some very small countries somewhere else in Africa or Asia, I can't remember where. But yes,
so
I have a feeling you're very much on your own with that one.
Well, I'm really curious about why that mile per hour didn't populate last time. That was strange.
It is bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
Also, we need to get the origin story behind Springflower having a French racing account, because I've been on broadcast before where I've been talking about, it was actually an American. I was talking about them being on the West Coast and they actually don't live there anymore, but that's where they register their racing account when they made it. So I wonder whether Springflower actually does live in France or not, because it is 4:30 in the morning at the moment in France.
That's true,
and is not an ideal time.
We've interviewed him, and I definitely do not recall any kind of, that's not to say he's not American and working in France or whatever, but yeah, I don't recall anything that would indicate to me a French accent. So,
yeah, we will. I'll try and find the bottom of that, because
yes, we need to investigate that, don't we?
Yeah. See, I almost got a third or a quarter speaking French speaking grid, maybe. I don't know. If the Canadian, it's entirely plausible that the Canadians can't speak French either. To be fair.
Okay, so
there we go.
Look what I did over here.
Anyway, let's see.
So I pulled up this, and as you can see, Simply Steve's top speed for the race so far has only been 189, which is 2 miles per hour slower than Amon, and which would indicate to me probably that Steve is potentially running a little higher downforce setup. So let's
see. It's such a look here. Now then.
There we go.
That's it. So that's what I was going to point to, actually. That seems to me like that between those three, there was only 2 mile an hour difference.
True, yes.
Ammerman 1 mile an hour quicker than Steve, and Springfly 1 mile an hour quicker than Ammerman. So I felt, they're probably on the same downforce settings, to be honest. They're just to end up doing slightly different top speeds at the end of the straight, and I'm not surprised about that. That's the kind of difference where you could point to maybe a setup difference there, because that's 5 miles an hour difference there for Bozak and Beaver, and you just wonder whether Beaver's gone for a lower downforce setup. But I mean, look at that on the bottom right for that battle. There's almost no difference between those three battling for fourth.
Yeah, that's true. And interesting.
Sorry, that's Jason Winucki, who's looking very similar to Gavin Amman today. I'm sure he always does, but it's confused me slightly for a moment. Springfly gets close in towards the bus stop. It's actually Amman getting close to Steve last time, but this time round it is Springfly, and he's not gone for it. He's gone for the lifting off in towards the bus stop. We've seen a lot of that so far today.
We have
too many overtakes being made, but a lot of fuel saving going on instead.
Well, the nature of this type of racing, lends itself to fuel saving early, and also not, putting your car at too terribly much risk, and because you can't win anything if you don't finish. So I think that's just the nature of the business here. One of the problems is, though, it gets to be such a spread out field over the course of an hour and a half, which, by the way, we are approaching the 30-minute mark, about 2 minutes away from that.
It's gone by very quickly. That is true, but I feel like the entertainment with these races often comes when, maybe a little bit less here today. Aragon 2 weeks ago was really difficult, and so what we got a lot of 2 weeks ago was actually drivers coming through the field and a lot of passes, actually.
That's true.
In terms of passing after you made a mistake and someone had overtaken you while you were having the problem. There was a lot going on 2 weeks ago. I think this first part of the race, so it is a lot of waiting. There is going to be a point in the second half of the race, though, where things are going to kick off a little bit more. And I think another reason, actually, as to why there's so much caution early on here is because of the fuel restrictions that these guys are under here at Spa. In terms of that, I mean, there is no fuel limit. I don't mean it in that sense of the word. I mean it in the sense of actually it's quite a fuel-thirsty circuit, and there isn't actually a very big pit window at all. So we're expecting the fuel tanks to take them about 20 to 22 laps. Now, if you look at the amount of time per lap, 20 laps is barely going to get you 41 minutes. That's not even halfway. You're going to want to avoid a second stop, so you absolutely have to make it to 22 laps and hope this race is going to be 44 laps or less, because this is a pretty fuel-thirsty circuit, and that is barely making it to halfway, just doing 22 laps.
So this is a really, truly a massive fuel-saving race. I mean, like if you can pull off some good fuel saving, I mean, because somebody's going to have to pit 3 times that extra or the second time. Somebody will. There, I'm sure, because everybody's not good at saving fuel, and especially to save ultimately a lap to a lap and a half's worth of fuel per stint. That can be tough for some people. Somebody like myself with a heavy lead foot. Same reason I can't drive these cars in slow corners, because I got that lead foot.
That's Springfly going off slightly. Might have got slowed down from that. Has he got away with it? Probably with just an off track, which is another thing that you can really be wary of over the course of this evening, although it's not quite what it used to be. I think you're going to be proved right, by the way, the fact that Nicolator and Notovin are going to make 2 stops, but I'm not sure that really counts.
No, that doesn't count. That's not what I meant. So you think everybody that doesn't have an incident is going to be able to do this as a one-stopper?
Yeah, because I think those 22 laps, it's not a, if you fuel save, that you might be able to get to 22. I think that 22 is at a maximum at full speed. You can do 22. And maybe if you feel this race is going to be more than 44 laps, then you're going to have to try and save that lap of fuel, which, as you say, is very difficult to do around a normal circuit, never mind one that is over 7 kilometres long like here. So I think everybody is feasibly going to make it with just one stop, yeah.
Again, dealing with that, the issue before the race, I downloaded the race notes for us, but I didn't get a chance to look at them. So they're saying the fuel window here is for the car is how long?
The amount of laps they can do on a tank,
Yes.
20 to 22 laps.
20 to 22.
45
okay.
minutes should do in the race, because they're doing 2-minute 5s at the moment.
Well, I definitely trust you when it comes to fuel calculations. And lap estimations. You're really good at that. I mean, that's one of the things that I've learned since we started broadcasting. You rattle that stuff off pretty quick, and so far, I don't know that I've ever seen you be inaccurate. I'm not saying you won't be, but I haven't seen it so far.
Last week, the IMSA officials were at Watkins Glen, and I did underfill by a lap myself. So it doesn't always go back well for me on that occasion. I had to save the extra lap of fuel at the end, and I nearly lost place, but it's fine. The lead changed there very briefly, by the way, between Bozak and Beaver. There was a small battle going on, and I think that might be the first little indication of the difference in downforce levels between these two leaders, which I'm starting to suspect they might have here between Bozak and Beaver, with the Acura in behind having less downforce on board. Maybe, or it is just stronger in a straight line. I'm not entirely sure, but there was certainly an exchange of positions there down the Kemmel Straight this time around.
The Acura has been strong, really. Especially like going into Daytona this year, the Acura was incredibly strong, and they bopped it a little bit. But the Cadillac has just kind of always been known for raw, straight line speed. So I would think that Beaver's got to have some level of lower downforce to run, with that Cadillac down these straightaways.
I think he's putting Bozak under real pressure as well, actually, in the corners. Just saw it into the bus stop chicane. She went slightly wide there, Bozak, and not only it compromising through the first bit, but the exit as well for Beaver was just better onto the front straight. Obviously, not going to make the move in towards turn one. You just get repassed again down the Kemmel Straight, but he's really close here. Up over the top of the hill at Eau Rouge and Radion. Here they go. It's going to be Beaver again here with another great chance, and Bozak knows it. Pulls it to the middle of the road initially, and then the inside. But look at the speed for the Acura on the outside line. It's going to drive straight through here, is it? On the outside line. He was closer this time than last lap around, and Beaver has taken the lead on lap 17 of this race. He spent a long time following here, and now he's in the lead of this one. Can Bozak strike back immediately, though? Through the corners, he's immediately quicker. Oh, and he's dug into the inside, outside, all which way to try and get through. He doesn't do it, though, and Beaver now can start to compromise Bozak, where it seems he's slightly stronger here. Get some dirty air in the face of that Cadillac, and now Beaver in the lead is a whole different prospect for Bozak as he faces the prospect of having to re-overtake him maybe later on in the race.
Yeah, that was nicely done, and you called it 100%. Bozak did not get off of turn one very well, and it just basically set Beaver up for that good long run down. But all in all, that was still a phenomenal pass going into Lacombe there. He still had to go in deep and brake really hard there, and he didn't lock his tires up, or the car didn't even really twitch, which means that he's got a good handle on his car. He's got a good handle on his brake bias setup currently, and and his migration and all of that, which that's its own issue. The brake bias migration on these cars is that's a fun one to play with. I'm sure you've driven them and you've played with it. You can really unbalance a car if you don't understand how to use that.
Yeah, I must admit, I've only driven the Cadillac, but yeah, it is an interesting battle to see two different manufacturers going up against each other here, and they are certainly the class of the field, that is for sure. Now Bozak has got the slipstream himself, but he's looking quicker, is Beaver now. Last time round, of course, he's always going to be quicker by 8 tenths of a second, but anyway, he's starting to really pull away now.
Pitting.
Yeah, Gavin Eamon's coming in. Maybe you are going to be correct that there's going to be some two-stoppers today.
What? Don't tell me that. My ego can't handle that.
Or is it a drive-through penalty, I wonder? I don't know.
No, he stopped.
No, he's stopping.
He does not look like the car's jacked up, though.
I'd be surprised about that, actually. And I think if you're making a two-stop race, you can certainly do the fuel loads to cover a tyre change each time, if you really wanted it to.
Jump back over there. Let's see if I can get a better camera angle on him.
No,
car's not in the air for sure. Yeah, that would be very surprising. I agree.
Maybe tyres were already done by the time we joined up there.
Maybe.
But anyway, I'm out into night at night. Let's just watch through Rouge and Radion here, by the way, because they said that cold tyres are going to be hard up here. As I said earlier, I would have found that corner out the pit lane more difficult. But anyway, over the rise, here we come. Carefully does it. And you could tell he was being a little bit carefully, actually, there, just so he didn't have a massive crash, because it would be.
Well,
but, there's the key problem. Maybe he's not on cold tyres at all. Maybe he's kept the same ones on. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I was about to say, well, that's cold tires for you. You know, he's going to go in a little gentle. He does seem like he's driving a little bit soft, so maybe he did get tires and we just did, like I said, didn't see it.
Yeah, I think that's more likely.
But I tell you what, we will catch a ride up through Eau Rouge and Radion on board with. We'll do a crank it up maybe and let somebody go through there on a crank it up a little bit here in a few minutes. Man, I tell you what, Beaver's opening it up.
Yeah, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. Well, last time round it was a whole second. A 4.0 from Beaver, and Bozak has shredded his tyres to pieces here. I said earlier on, and I still believe that Beaver's got less downforce on at the moment than Bozak, based on what we've seen so far in the race. But I think the opposite of what I was talking about earlier has happened, where sometimes if you're on lower downforce, you can start to overdrive through the corners, and you can start to, as I mentioned earlier, use the tyres a bit more for your grip rather than the aero, which you need to use in these GTPs, especially around a circuit like Spa. But it seems to me like Bozak has gone through his tyres with about 10 minutes to go in the stint, which is too long, really. And he's, don't be over dramatic about this with more than half of the race to go, but he's losing this race right now, seeing this gap go out like this.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's not something a lot of people factor in. Is if you're running lower downforce, your car is going to slide more going through the turns, and that will eat your tires up. That's an absolute fact. And let's see. I'm sorry, I just got distracted. I believe we've got an incident back here.
Okay. Oh, hello. It's car incident, maybe. Jason Minucci chasing down one of the Ferraris and going for a spin on his own there.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even remember the name of that corner. That corner right there for me is the toughest corner on this track. I love Spa, but that corner's tough. That downhill, and it's a tight radius, and it's hard for me to get anything to rotate there.
I feel like I've driven Spa so much now that I don't really have a corner that I really hate or can't get to grips with, really. I guess I've just done too many laps now in this circuit. It's used in almost every official series every season, so it's very well practiced as we go on board here with the Acura. He's got that absolutely nailed over the top there. Although he did lose 2 temps, did Beaver, last time round. He's got to make sure that this doesn't start to come back again here. Bozak as they cross 40 minutes gone in the race. They're on to lap 20. And so another couple of laps and they will get to halfway here. And then they can get some new tyres on, get another load of fuel and go to the end of the race, which it looks like everybody's going to do, apart from Gavin Ammerman down in 9th.
Yeah, he, let's see. Yeah, I'm curious now to see how this tire situation is going to go. If anybody else, if they are taking tires and we just missed that. I can't imagine that I guess it does extend your pit stop a little bit, right? Because they fuel faster than a tire stop in these cars.
All right. Well, it depends how much tip fuel you're taking. I think for Ammerman it would have been quite close, actually. But in terms of filling a fuel tank here, you could get about, you could easily get 40 to 50 litres in. I don't know if you use gallons. You could easily get 40 to 50 litres in before the tyres are changed. So that's about half a stint. So what's that in terms of time? You get about 23 minutes of fueling while the tyres are going on. So in that case, Amman might have just about managed it to get all 4 tyres done. And in my experience, you want to change either all 4 or none at all. If you get a couple of cold tyres and not the others, then you're in real trouble.
Yes.
So you've got to change all 4, and I think all of these drivers will have been able to do that over the course of a fuel stop. I personally still think they should be changing tyres and doing fuel at different times, but there we go, that's not the rules. Well, we're about to see them all do that in a few moments' time. Here we go on board with Bozak up the top of the hill as well. He's just stopped the damage here a little bit here. He loses a bit more time on that last lap, but he's 2 seconds behind. Now you can see those drivers who've conserved their tyres quite well, because Springfire just set a personal best, and that's towards the end of the stint. Obviously, fuel load helping there. The fact he's got not 89 litres of fuel on board, but probably closer to 9 is probably helping him. But either way, to keep his tyres in check for that long is a very good job indeed from him. Aaron last time around with a 2:06.2. That is still slower than everyone in the top 6. It's not great news for Gavin Amman, really, and it shows why that strategy might be slightly flawed in some ways, because you never really get an undercut in these cars. When you come into the pit lane, you come out much heavier on fuel, and that really prevents any tyre gain that you would get normally in one of these cars.
Right. Well, and of course, you and I, we're still kind of questioning whether or not he took tires or not. We don't really know. But like you said, it would be hard to believe that he didn't.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially, we saw him on, I'm pretty sure we were watching him on cold tyres when we saw him come out the pit lane as well.
It felt like it, for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is now, is Beaver going to pit here? Or do you think he's going to go one more?
I think they've got to go one more to be safe on fuel here.
Right.
We're not at halfway yet. And I know that by the end of the pit stop, they might come out and it'd be halfway, but that's not the point. Oh, that's deep. Onto the brake. Well, he can't have pushed it out next lap because he'll struggle to get it in pit lane, but it doesn't matter this time round. He just loses a lot of time on the circuit. Look at that, 1.6 seconds now.
That's not the pit lane entrance there, is it?
It is for this layout, yeah. I just saw him come down the Grand Prix pit lane.
Oh, so my bad. Okay.
We are using the Grand Prix pits.
Okay. So that's weird then. Why did we start on this side? That was strange.
We went green in towards La Source, didn't we?
I mean, I guess it's probably a choice that you have. I don't know, but...
Simply Steve can't make it. That's a pit from 5th place, and there's still a minute to go to halfway. He is going to need some fuel saving here, and you might be right. There might be some splashes and dashes towards the end of this race, unless he really starts to save something. Considering he's been in the slipstream for some of this first stint, you'd say that's a bit of a mistake. A biker pilot has to come in as well.
Yeah, see, oh, he's up. Okay. I think the angle that I was looking at him from was the problem there. I just don't think that that I was seeing the angle.
Well, those are the only 2 so far who have had to come in. Ryan Schwab's the only other, and he goes past. So they're the only 2 of those completely unaffected. And now Amman's new tyres are starting to take effect. I probably shouldn't have read too much into the 6.2 actually the last time round, because his tyres would have still been coming up to temperature though at that point. You can't set your personal best on the second lap out the pit lane. Your first flying lap, the tyres have got to come up to temperature for another lap after that, and so it's the second flying lap that you can set best laps, and that's what he just did. He's back in the mid-5s now, but that last lap will have done him some good there, and he might be in the conversation for 4th place. He is ahead of Simply Steve, and that will be a big positive for Gavin Amman as these 2 come towards the end of what could be their first stint of the day. Are they going to be able to go on any longer than even 22 laps here maybe for these 2? Yes, they are.
Both of them.
Well, this is good work from Beaver and Bozak here to make themselves absolutely comfortable on fuel now as they go into the second half of this race.
Wow, I didn't realize how big the gap was. Pretty large. Whoops. Yeah. Yep, Eat My Dust is coming in.
got a long way ahead of him and behind him, Ewan Dust. And there's Springfly, who's chasing him down. He goes on again. So the only two, well, not the only two, but two of the undelayed Cadillacs have stayed out. And the other Cadillac as well. That's not Ryan Schwab, sorry. That's Notvin, who carries on, but he would do. Jason Winooki into the pit lane as well. So very divided field at the moment as to when to pit in. But if you've made it to lap 22, you've made it to halfway and you'll be okay on fuel to the end.
Yeah, so that's, well, they're going to be, Beaver and Bozak are both going to be able to, shorten their pit stop up a little bit. At least probably a second or so.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, assuming that they execute perfectly, there's still that.
And it depends whether they want to use that extra lap, as you say, to shorten their stop, or whether they want the extra lap of fuel to burn in the second half of the race. They might just do a full fill anyway.
That's probably the question. That's where the pit strategy is going to work itself in here. But I'll tell you what we are going to do because I would say we're almost 100% sure they're coming in this lap. So I am going to hide that. And I'm going to put us up some pit stop times so that we can see how they get in and out, assuming that they are pitting this lap, which I got to believe they are.
Let's see. They are indeed. At least Beaver is, and Bozak is as well. So, some other things to unpack, by the way, after this pit stop phase. We'll get to that, though, in a few moments' time as these two come in. Springfly should be in as well here, and that'll be it. Ryan Schwab's not been in yet either. So, Gavin Hammer's next, ahead of Simply Steve, and Ewan Dust is now behind all of them. So, we'll need to try and unpack the story there once these pit stops have finished, because Ewan Dust has gone from comfortably third to scrapping for a top 5. All of a sudden, with Nicolator in there as well, although he still has another stop to go. In fairness, Amman does as well. So we'll see on that. Bozak and Beaver still in pit lane as things stand, still getting their service, and they'll be coming towards the end of that right now as they exit pit lane. Are they going to have a slightly short stop and still up on the jacks there for Bozak? That's quite a long time. But anyway, gets back down again now. And Beaver complete as well, but don't forget he came in first and stopped earlier in the box. So by the time we joined them, he probably would have been done with tyre changing anyway. Now he goes, now he leaves, and straight coming out as well is Bozak, not that far behind. Pretty close between the two, but now a very interesting and important warm-up phase coming for the two of them. How are they going to be at the top of the hill here? Through Eau Rouge and Rayon for the first time. We were seeing at the start of the day that this is going to be a big moment for the race at the high speed rather than the low speed that we would have expected. Expertly done by these guys, though. You'd expect that from the front guys. Beaver ahead of Bozak on these cold tyres. He's got to try and hold on to the lead here.
Yeah, he got out with a decent little lead there. I mean, it's still gonna. That can't be right. No, that's got to be a mistake. I think that's just him slowing up for the pits, I believe. Yeah, unless he crashed on the way in.
Well, impossible.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's why I stayed with it. No, I guess not.
No. So I guess the only thing we need to try and unpack here and understand is how Ewan Dust is now 7th. I mean, he's going to get past Nicolator when he pits in again, and that's fine. But what's happened here? Because he was third comfortably. Now we've got a battle for third between Springfly and Gavin Hammerman.
I'm looking here at his overall pit stop time. He was significantly slower. He had a 1:09 total time. So that's pit entrance to pit exit. So he did not come in apparently as hot, and his overall stop was slower, but his actual pit stop itself was okay. But his pit lane time, like getting off the jacks and going, all of that, whatever. 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds slower than, I think that's it. I think Eat My Dust is just, we look at him. I think that he, the couple of seconds slower that he got out of the pit is probably the difference. Well, it's more than that even. I wonder, he must have had some kind of incident.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think the actual travel from A to B down the pit lane or whatever. I think there's some more goings on there. Did you say 109 stopped in the box, or is that overall from?
Okay, so I was actually the 109 was Winecki. I was looking at the wrong. I was looking at the wrong time. His overall time on pit road was a 107.63. That's
normal.
It's Simply Steve had a 106. Spring Flower had a 105.
It's certainly, yeah, it's in the region. The reason why I'm asking so much is because he was 30 seconds further up the road before. The reason why partly is because I would have thought my immediate thought went to speeding penalty, but that he didn't lose enough time for that really.
No.
But something very puzzling has gone on here, and he's down to sixth position pretty comfortably. Ammer's now up to third, and he's running away with it as well. Got past Springflower easily, and he's now off into the distance. The only problem is, well, I guess one of the reasons why he's going off into the distance, I should say, is the fact he's got less fuel on board than the others, so he would be going quicker at this stage in the race.
Yeah. But we know he's going to have to pit again because he pitted on lap 17. That would be quite the miracle if he managed to pull that off.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's reasonable. And especially not consistently turning pretty fast laps. He's obviously not fuel saving running around there right now, or not big time anyway.
You have to do about 5 laps of fuel saving. I can't imagine he'd be able to do that really with the speed he's going at the moment, or indeed any speed. Beaver and Bozak, meanwhile, still nose to tail. Bozak at the start of stints does seem to be a little bit stronger, but can he keep the tyres underneath him for longer this time round? Or is he just going to go as he did in the first time round, try and get past him so that he can have track position for the final part and really defend in the final 10 to 20 minutes, I wonder, as they now make their way over the top at Radion again and on the Kemmel Straight. We've got a reversal of the situation, what we saw 45 minutes ago when these two were given the lead, and the 1 and the 2 by Nottavin, who pulled off the side of the circuit. It was Bozak leading Beaver back then, and it's the opposite way round as they complete lap 26 right now.
Well, I think assuming that our original, thought was that maybe he burned his tires up because he's running a lower downforce setup, because we did talk about that. So if that's the case and you knew your tires went away on you, it would probably just serve him well to stay behind and kind of keep up with Beaver, but not try to pass him, although I say that and he's flying up on him right now. So much for that theory, I guess. But we'll see. In
some ways, I think Bozak is probably correct to go hell for leather like he did in the first stint and just try and hold on again, because I don't think he's going to become better at tyre management in the second half of the stint just without practicing it here. He would need stint after stint after stint to try and do things differently. He doesn't have that chance. He's in the race now. So I think it's a good idea, actually, to try and get past him, get the track position, then maybe try and take care of your tyres as much as possible. But even then it might be difficult because Beaver's got very good straight line speed. And when you've got that here at Spa, you are going to have passing made a little bit easier than it otherwise might be. And otherwise, clearly, he is looking for Bozak right now, who just seems to be struggling to get past a little bit.
Look at the difference in top speed there. Bozak.
Wow.
Now, he probably had a toe, but still.
Yeah.
That is huge difference. So I would say there's no doubt that Bozak is running a lower downforce setup.
Oh, you said that. The things were reversed earlier. So it was Bozak on 189 and Beaver on 194. So I don't know where these numbers are coming from. Is it top speed on the previous lap or something? I don't know.
I don't. It just said top speed in the battle box. Things I would have to research to where that number comes from. I'm pretty sure the one on the race is supposed to be top speed for the entire race, but it's not populating. I don't understand why.
Yeah,
If I put it here,
I wonder whether it is in the last lap or something. Yeah, that's just.
I'm going to leave it up and
working.
just see if it after they make a lap and see if something happens, because I don't know, just an interesting look at it to know who is running the lower downforce setup. I can't run the lower downforce setup here. I struggle too much even through Eau Rouge and Radeon with that lower downforce setup. I just the car just gets too light for me.
I think the low downforce setup is mainly for Le Mans, really. That
I would, 100% Le Mans. Yeah,
I don't mind using it at Monza actually either. I quite enjoy it around there. But anyway, it's a very different circuit, Monza, to this one. There's so many twisty circuits here at Spa. I know it's almost defined as a high-speed circuit or sometimes a straight-line speed circuit, and there certainly are plenty of sections of that, but my goodness, you need good cornering around this circuit, otherwise you're absolutely toast. Through the first corner, and Beaver and Bozak still running 1 and 2 here with just over 57 minutes gone. They will make their way through Radeon again.
I would classify this track as, what makes it so great is it has a little bit of everything. It's got high-speed turns, it's got high-speed straightaways, it's got low-speed turns, it's got medium speed, low speed, downhill turns. I mean, it's just got a little bit of everything. Have you driven this track with the new little kink they put in the corner before Pouillon? Have you I don't know the name of that corner before. I think is it No Name Corner?
The one on the inside there.
Hey, I'll show you when we get there.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't know there'd been any new.
Yeah. There's when they did the new track update about 6 months ago, the new scan. There's a new little thing they added, and it's like a little downhill twisty bit, and it's awesome. But I've only seen it raced one time.
I think that's the motorcycle end. I don't even think that's in iRacing. It's in iRacing. You can see it on the screen, but I don't think it's a raceable layout.
No, it is. No, they race it. They race it.
Okay.
It's here. Let me see. Who's close to there right now? No.
We're never going to find it.
Nah, I'll just wait. We'll just stick with the leaders right now anyway. But yeah, they'll be here in just a minute. Doesn't take long.
Nicoletta are quite close as well, by the way, as they make their way in towards Les Combes. So another battle for 10th place. I'm pretty sure. Well, no, I'm absolutely sure Nicoletta has made his second pit stop of the day, so he'll be making it to the finish now. But Notlevin will not be as things stand. So even though he is looking to gain that one place for the moment, and he is just racing for points at the moment rather than any sort of race win here today. It's not looking like he's going to be able to get that just for the moment, because he's still got another stop to make. And again, this time, despite setting a personal best, Bozak still can't get any closer to Beaver.
All right. So it's right here. See that right there, where the track breaks off to the left right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now, yeah. Look, watch. See, it's a little downhill twist section and puts you back out right there. It's quite an interesting turn because it's downhill. It's almost like a little mini corkscrew almost. Really quite interesting turn.
I prefer the normal version, really. I don't know if I like it, really.
If you get a chance when you're on practicing one day or something, jump over here and try to run that layout and check it out.
Yeah, as Notlevin comes in, by the way, as expected from 11th. Yeah, I don't think I've driven Spa since the 24-hour of 2023. So that was nearly 2 years ago now.
Oh yeah. Well, so you haven't driven it with the new scan and everything.
I can't remember. I think it. Oh.
No, the new scan only came out. It was less than a year ago for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, if it's been that long, yeah, you need to go check it out. It's well, of course, obviously you've seen it here, but it's different when you drive it. Especially, like I said, they got that new corner in there that you notice, and there's several parts that are like all through here. This is all different now.
You are right, by the way. It was less than a year ago. It feels like ages, but you're absolutely right. It'd have been half a year.
Yeah, that's what I thought, about 6 months. Yeah.
I can't believe that. I thought it'd been more than 2.
Well, that's what happens when you're young. The world passes by quite quickly, and then all of a sudden you end up like me, and you're like, where'd all those years go?
Well, I've got a theory about that, but maybe this is not the right place for it. Anyway, less than half an hour to go, and well, there's half a minute now between these two and the rest of the field. Beaver and Bozak have done a very good job, as they always do in this series. They've traded they've traded race wins about, I should say. Beaver's got 2 of them. Bozak yet to get one, but he has been in the top 5 on multiple occasions this season, almost every time this season. And he's competing for his first race win this season, trying to get us a 4th different winner in 6 races, which would be a decent tally. But I think the odds are stacking against him here in the final half an hour. Beaver versus Bozak is certainly going the way of Beaver right now, as Gavin Alman's made a mistake from 3rd. We knew he had to make another pit stop, and he simply wasn't making up the time to stay ahead of Springflower and Simply Steve. And that's been pretty much confirmed now, as he drops to 5th place very quickly.
Let's go see there what... Oh.
Slow.
Yeah, that looked like an out of fuel.
He can't have run out of fuel, surely not.
Oh, he must have had a slowdown.
Yeah, maybe. That's...
Because he's back up to speed. He's up to speed there, so...
Yep, he is. So
wow.
That's a bit of a weird one. But Alman drops out of that podium position as a result of that, and he is going to drop down to 7th after he's made his 2nd pit stop as well, which is not going to be a great result compared to where he was running only a few moments ago. And indeed, he now comes into the pit lane as well.
Stop.
With 26 minutes to go.
Stop.
It's not a splash and dash for him. This is a strategy, so don't be alarmed that it is so early, this pit stop. That is part of the strategy, but it will drop him to 7th. Nicolator is behind Ryan Schwab, meanwhile, looking to make an overtake. Another one of those moves that we saw a lot of 2 weeks ago. When drivers have been off the road and have recovered from problems, they end up coming up on guys who are a bit slower than them and making passes, and that looks like what Nicolator is going to do in the next few moments.
Well, we'll go back and visit that.
And this is going to be pretty swift work, I think, from Nicolator.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Up to Blodgemont and up into the bus stop now.
He may wait.
Done here.
He may wait and do it down to Kimmel Straight.
Yeah, well, it's always the thing, and he's almost got no choice now than to go through it to him. I was going to say you don't really want to go through here, to be honest, because you only get repassed again, but he's got it done on the outside. I think these two probably realise who's quicker at the two of them, and so letting Nicolator through is probably not the worst idea. And so that's going to be 9th now for him. And again, he's going to be kicking himself from that first lap error. It was cold tyres on lap 1 through Pouon, and it hit the wall pretty hard, and that is really what has defined Nicolator's race here, and with his rival for 3rd place in the championship running in 3rd place very well, then he's going to be especially disappointed with how this race has turned out.
Yeah, I just wanted to stick with him here to see if they were, if Ryan was going to try to pass him back, but I think he, like you said, I think he realizes who's the faster of the two, and I mean, Yeah, the thing is, I don't know how much more he's going to gain. The next car is like 28 seconds ahead of him or something. So that's going to be a bit of a long haul there. And tell you what, Beaver's starting to stretch it out a little bit on Bozak here.
It's like watching a replay of the first stint, isn't it, really? Only Beaver starting ahead this time round. So don't forget, last time round, when they were doing this with 25 minutes to go in the stint, Beaver was actually behind, so he was a second or so behind, then had to close in on Bozak, which he was able to do. Then he had to spend a couple of laps finding a way through, and then he was able to just stick the boot in a little bit and press on with the margin. This time round, he's not had to do any of those first two things. He's not had to catch, he's not had to pass, and he's just had to extend the margin. And this is looking like Beaver very, very comfortable in this race, and looking like he's going to take his third race win of the season relatively comfortably as well, which would give him the championship lead over Nottingham as well. The two championship rivals finishing first and last here as it stands.
Yeah, that sure was a weird situation that gotten out of in there. That was I would love to know, not details. I would love to know if it was a technical issue or a personal issue,
Yeah, it was so sudden and so odd.
It was odd either way. I mean, just the way he went off, I guess you would, and if you were in that spot, that's where you would run off if you were having to jump out quickly. I don't know. I'd be interested to find out. But either way, it was crushing to his points battle. Not that I don't think he can recover from it, because he definitely can.
Actually, I'll tell you the other puzzling thing. I was keeping an eye on Discord while all that was going on. He left the session, which I don't know if that was a manual one or whether he got thrown out, but he always stayed in the Discord. So if there certainly wasn't any sort of technical problem with his internet by the looks of things, otherwise it would have thrown him out of Discord as well. He's currently chatting to Bozak as things stand. So, yeah, that's another thing to add in. Why did he end up out of the iRacing session and not out of the Discord server?
Right. But that would also say, like, if there was a technical issue with his wheelbase or with his pedals or something like that, he would have stayed in. I mean, if it was a personal issue and he was getting off the sim, it just depends, I guess he could have just tossed his headset down and did what he had to do or whatever. I don't know. Let's pop back here.
Yeah, because he did return as well, which is
pretty quickly too. Not really that long.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point about something being wrong with the controls or whatever, I think it's a decent one. But why wouldn't he carry on with the ones he had? Because he was clearly going all right in the ones he already had. So I'm not sure whether that.
Well, I mean, like maybe a wheelbase failure or something where his force feedback dropped or something, and he had to reset his wheelbase. That actually happened.
Try and carry on.
Well, I mean, that's true, I guess. Till you can at least get to a pit stop or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. If we get the chance, I would love to ask him.
It doesn't. I can't suspect that we will, but at least not in the time of this broadcast. Anyway, we may well find out afterwards. Simply Steve and Springfire on your screens at the moment, though, battling away with just 20 minutes to go. They might be the last battle in the race here, although there may be some others as well. This is really where Ewan just gave up the position, gave up that third place through the pit stop cycle. And now it's over to Simply Steve and Springfire to fight it out for that last podium paying position, rather, in that third position.
Yeah, and you could see Eat My Dust coming around the corner back there as the long shot drug out. So he's roughly, I think, about 10 seconds behind those guys. Well, that was a great shot.
Not been, by the way, with the person, the overall fastest lap of the race last time round. But
look at that lap time.
Yeah, well,
he's probably really light on fuel.
Yeah, and the newest tyres of everybody as well. So that's why, not taking anything away from him, but that's why he is so quick at the moment. he might be able to catch Ryan Schwab as well. If those lap times continue, 33 seconds in 20 minutes is not impossible.
No, considering he was 6 seconds faster on that lap. Wow. 2:02, and that's 2 seconds. One and a tenth faster than anybody else in the race.
You're getting down to qualifying times there with that kind of fuel load and tyre set. It's expected again, but you are getting down towards those qualifying times that would have been in the 2:01s, by the way, for reference. So a little bit different with heavier cars. And indeed, older tyres at this stage in the race as well, because they will have been on for 25 minutes at this stage. As
incident here.
Okay.
All by himself, just running down the Kimmel Straight. And
bit too deep. Oh, tries to save it and knocks it down before things get out of control and into the wall.
So that was a good job saving it. On.
Yeah, still in 8th place. That's one thing we haven't seen too much here today, which has been pleasing, especially in the last few moments. Not too many spins or incidents for individual drivers, which is
no, that's actually nice. Yeah,
his tires down a bit.
Yeah, we've seen. We definitely in the past few weeks have seen a lot of that. So it is kind of good not to see that this week. I mean, we've had some tough conditions. You know, last week was a tough track, and of course the race before, I believe, we had rain, didn't we?
I wasn't here for that one, so I don't know.
That's right. That's how long it's been. You weren't even here for that one.
I was here 2 weeks ago, though, for Aragon. Yeah, it's just a very difficult circuit to contend with for these drivers. So that's why we saw so many incidents last time around. But around here at Spa, certainly a lot less of that. And we're going to see the same in 2 weeks' time at Sebring as well. Not saying it's not a difficult circuit, but everyone's got a lot more experience around there than what they have at Aragon, for example. You just wonder whether that kind of racing is going to return at Motegi for the final race of the season. 2 hours in length, and we may well have a great championship fight on as well. We will wait and see when we get there. As we go back to Simply Steve versus Springfield, still fighting over 3rd place with just over a quarter of an hour left in this one.
Motegi really is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's a good chance that some of these guys don't know that track at all. In fact, I'd venture to say that it's still probable that some of these guys don't own that track.
It's interesting, actually, because I think a lot of the Europeans certainly do know it quite well. And
really?
Certainly will have owned it. I've done plenty of races down there covering them, actually. I mean, it's not an American thing.
I have not, and to be honest, I haven't raced there. The only thing I know about Motegi is that the oval there is the place that Danica Patrick got her only win in big time motorsports, which was in Indy cars. Her only win came at Motegi when Helio Castroneves was way ahead of her. I don't know, maybe even a full lap ahead, and he had to go into fuel conservation mode, and she was able to catch him and pass him for the lead.
When IndyCar was a international sport?
Yes, and it was, yeah, I don't even, well, of course she left there and went to NASCAR for several years, but yeah, that was her only win, which I have theories about, but I'm not gonna, not gonna share that. No, it's nothing against her. I mean, you know, say, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not so sure that Helio Castroneves didn't kind of maybe extra fuel save and make sure that she caught him.
Were they teammates?
No, but he was way ahead of the points championship at the time. There was pretty much no way he could lose the championship. And IndyCar was suffering bad at that time. You know, it just was in that period, you know, that's why they had to rebuild the whole sport. Essentially, it was not long after that, and her winning brought a massive amount of attention back to IndyCars. So a guy who is the biggest driver in IndyCar at the time, could see the benefit of more viewers. I don't know, it's just a theory.
Maybe.
More people watching, better sponsorship dollars, all of that stuff. And the IndyCar numbers definitely went up after she won. So I don't know, just a theory.
I wasn't following IndyCar at the time. I've got to say. So
well, no, that was before. I mean, I don't even know. Golly, I'm not even sure what year that was.
Mid to late 2000s, maybe. If I was to guess.
Yeah, you were. I mean, you were probably more like following a toy truck around in the yard. I don't know. I'm going to look that up now.
Yeah, I am as well. She was in IndyCar from 2005 to 2011, so it's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm finding the actual
and it was later. It was several years into her career, so it probably would have been more like the
2008.
Huh?
2008.
Yeah, I was actually going to say it was probably somewhere around 2008.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the one. Yeah. Well, bit conspiratorial, but I don't mind it.
Well, I mean, I'm not that typically not that kind of guy, but I just, I mean, if I'm Helio Castroneves and I'm the biggest star in the sport, but the sport is dying around me, and I see the opportunity, and it won't hurt me in any way, to let her win that race, and it does wonders for the sport, I'm going to benefit from it too. Especially being that I'm the biggest name in the sport, and I mean, I don't know. And then maybe I wouldn't even say that, but, he's had some other questionable behaviors with, tax evasion and some fraud situations. And, so I don't know. It's just a theory.
It is. This is YouTube after all. We can just throw them out there.
That's true. I probably ought to do a video on it, huh?
You might get some views, yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Again, like I said, either way, I'm not taking anything away from her. She was, she had some good runs in IndyCar. Whether you beside that win, she definitely had a decent career. The problem when she got to NASCAR was she wasn't ready for those big heavy cars like that. She's a tiny woman, man. I mean, she's only like 5'1" or something like that, and probably 120 pounds, maybe. She throwing around a big 3,500-pound stock car at those close quarters like that that's hard, and it's not something you just jump right into, especially from being how delicate Indy cars were.
It's a very different type of racing.
It's very different.
And, I mean, you see it with Helio Castroneves, speaking of which, doing stock car racing now as well, struggling to.
Yes. Well, and even Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was a winning Formula One driver, and he struggled. I mean, he had some decent runs, mostly at road courses, but he struggled, and we certainly know how talented he was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's there's many examples of people going to stock cars and not quite working out quite as well, because it is a very different game, especially when you're up against drivers, by the way, who have only done that in their lives and continues to do so. That makes it very tricky as well. But anyway, we've gone slightly off course.
That's all right.
10 minutes to go.
James calls those segments the podcast portion of the show.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Podcasts are entertaining as well.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody watching this will be somewhat entertained by that discussion that we just had.
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, I've certainly learned something. So there you go. I didn't know she'd ever win a race. So there you go.
Yeah, she did.
I wasn't following IndyCar at the time.
And like I said, I didn't want to take away, I mean, it was only a theory, but, nevertheless, what she accomplished, aside from wins or losses, she had a good run, and she definitely brought a lot of sponsorship dollars to whatever sport she was in at the time. She definitely was popular, and she had a lot of support, a lot of fans too.
Yeah, certainly. Well,
probably almost as many as Simply Steve here. Which, by the way, I'm horribly disappointed that we lost the silver livery with the bomb pop icicle on the side of it.
It has gone a bit back to basics for this livery. So, Stephen, I've noticed a lot of them have actually tonight gone for rather simple.
I know. I almost questioned whether or not I was having a trading paints issue, because they're just all of a sudden all of them went to plainer paint jobs, and they all had some pretty spiffy paint jobs earlier in the year.
Yeah, well, we did give it a refresh, and this is what we've got. So
yeah, it is what it is now.
It is, yeah. Steve still holding on to third. 8 minutes still to go in the race, and some personal best flying in here. Steve with one of them last time round. Bozak just set another one of them as well, but it was barely quick. In fact, he wasn't even quicker than Beaver. He didn't set a personal best, but he still was quicker than Bozak, who did. And it looks like he's going on his way now to winning this race. Jason Winooki's sort of keeping Itmadust in check as well, so this top 5 might not even be safe now for Itmadust, who was comfortably third in the first stint. Now all of a sudden, late on in this race, he's clinging on, only just clinging on to a top 5.
Yeah, whatever happened to him there, losing that track position that he lost around that pit stop cycle has certainly been really hard for him to recover from. I mean, he's turning good lap times, I mean, for him, those are fine lap times. I don't know what, it's very curious as to what happened there.
All right, well, again, another one we'll have to uncover after the race. A few mysteries for us to get into at the end. Notovin is closing in on Ryan Schwab as well, so there will be a whole gain to him coming back out onto the circuit again after his issues earlier on, and that will be pleasing for him as well. It hasn't been a wasted hour or so running around for these points. He is going to get some points out of it as well, as opposed to just 11th place, which is what he would have got if he'd just given up. He is going to get 10th place, and every point might well matter towards the end of this championship, because Beaver's about to take that championship lead away from him here at the end of this race with the way things are going. And there, indeed, is Schwab pulling out the way, not putting up a fight really for Notovin at all, who now moves into the top 10.
Yeah, that was, he significantly faster, but I mean, he's still running insane lap times. He just ran his last lap was a 2:03.68. There's only one person in this race that's run a lap that fast besides him, and that's Beaver.
Yeah, he's just set a new personal best, actually, Beaver. It's just no way that Bozak's going to catch him, really, at this stage now. Should be 3 laps to go, including the one that they are currently on. But even that's going to be quite close because of the pace that we've seen here. Just been a show, really, from Beaver of not always going out really loud at the beginning and leading is the best idea. Sometimes getting up to speed in the stint a little bit slower and just winding that speed up gives you some great pace at the end, and maybe even the Acura is looking after its tyres a little bit better. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's some other things at play here. But Beaver's certainly driven the best in this race. He's managed the tyres the best, and he's now, again, for the second stint in a row, reaping the rewards of saving his tyres towards the very end here.
Yeah, he just put up his fastest lap of the race. A 2:03.57 on his last lap. So, yeah. He's, obviously benefiting from lighter fuel load, but you still have to have tires under you to run that kind of lap time. So, and essentially we are, 5.5 minutes or 4.5 minutes left. Oh.
So it should be 2 to go.
What is this? This may not be good.
He's
hot in there.
Third. That might be settled. Oh. Oh, hello. Well,
Oh man.
no. Armour, some would say.
Whew, that curb right there is brutal, especially in these stiff suspension cars like this. Wow. I mean, I guess it didn't really hurt him, but it certainly rattled his cage a little bit.
It will have done, yeah. That's Springfire around and out the conversation for third now. Simply Steve is going to hold on to that unless he makes an error of his own. So the battles may well be all but over here. Inmadust and Jason Winnicki's the only one. Here it is again. I just don't think Winnicki's close enough, really.
No.
I think Inmadust's speed is going to just win out here in the final 2 laps.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. It's I don't think the Porsches are as fast. That was weird. I don't think the Porsches are.
Oh, never mind. Inmadust is off. He's gone for a spin through the final chicane. All he had to do was keep it on the road. He had good enough speed, but he's made the error and he's handed the place to Jason Winnicki. It's going to be a 6th place and outside the top 5 finish for Inmadust after running in the podium places for the first half of the race.
Wow, that was that's tough. I mean, let's go. Might as well get a full look at it since we were actually looking at Jason there when it happened. Same thing. He just cooked it in there a little bit hot. Wow.
I mean, excuse me, sorry. Been a bit of a disaster on mine.
That's one of those kind of things. So, but yeah, that's pretty wild there for you, my dust. Like you said, promising opening stint. Looked like he was going to have a nice podium run day today, and then let's see where we're at here. We're going to get
could be white flag. Yep, there it is. So one more lap to go for Beaver, and it's going to be a comfortable victory in the end. It's going to be a championship lead as well, would you believe it? With Notvin finishing down in 10th position, he is going to reverse that now, and he's going to take the championship lead for himself. We go up Eau Rouge and Radiant for the final time. Oh, that's a bit wide. I hope he hasn't got to slow down from that, and he has. Oh, my word. Well, it's not going to cost him all 4.5 seconds of his lead, but that is not ideal for the last lap. Beaver making an error over the top of the hill and losing a second's worth of his lead there.
Yeah, that's if he's done paying his penalty yet. He may still be tweaking some of it off, you know.
Could be done now, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that definitely decreased the lead a little bit, but
what a momentum change as well from tonight. Notvin down in 10th, Beaver in 1st. It's going to have to be a big bounce back in 2 weeks' time from Notvin to get his championship back on track. You'd imagine his points deficit is going to be relatively large, and losing the championship lead at this stage in the season is never great for your momentum anyway.
Well, a lot's going to depend on, you know, whether Beaver has a throwaway race, you know, and Bozak as well. I guess when it's all said and done, you know, any one of those guys is certainly capable of running into a rough situation and have a race where they finish at the bottom of the pack, you know.
Well, it's been a pretty dominant drive in the second half from Beaver.
Very.
Came under a lot of pressure in the first half and had to make a good overtake on Bozak in the end. But in the end, at the end of the race, it's not about the battle. It's about the dominance of Beaver, and he crosses the line for the 3rd time this season in 1st position. And after 43 laps and an hour and a half of racing, he wins round 6 of the J2iCS Endurance Series here in the GTPs at Spa. 3 seconds his gap at the line as Bozak sets the personal best on the last lap indeed as well. Nicoletta has just got past Biker Pilot towards the end there. We just saw that in the background of Beaver and Bozak coming through. Nicoletta, I think Biker Pilot was trying to let the leaders through actually, so he didn't have to do another lap. Don't really know what went on there, but Nicoletta has soldiered on from his crash on the first lap, and he's got an extra 3 places out of it. It just shows that carrying on is worth it because Nicolator is now into 8th position.
Did you hear his car?
Nope.
He might have just been on the rev limiter, but it sounded really funny. But he was just probably on the rev limiter for whatever gear he was running in. Interesting.
To admit, these cars do sound a little bit strange on the gear. What is that? Rev limiter, sorry. Yeah. That's what you call it. There's Amman. I think it's safe to say for Gavin Amman, by the way, 7th place finish for him here today. Two-stop strategy maybe didn't really work here.
Yeah.
I mean, you did need a little bit to be a little bit fuel conscious to make it all the way on just one stop, but the two-stop I don't think really worked in the end.
No, I would say no, it definitely did not. And we, as we're waiting on Biker Pilot and Donovan and all to get around and finish.
Notvin's already finished, I think. He's carrying on, but he's got the checker flag next to his name, so I presume he's finished.
Oh, has he? Oh, he sure does, huh? Well, he's still out there running.
I don't know what he's doing, really.
Maybe trying to pick up... no, I guess not. No, I wouldn't do it. I was going to say maybe he's trying to make some safety rating. Well, it looks like they've all finished up now, so we should have some results here.
Yeah, they certainly have after an hour and a half of racing here at Spot. And the 6th round of the J2iCS Endurance Series. It is Beaver who has taken the win. A pretty dominant one in the end by 3 seconds over Bozak. Simply Steve rounds out the top 3 with that battle for 4th place just in behind. Springflower after that mistake, only just ahead of Jason Manucci in the end. Iberdust was out of that battle, of course, with that spin on the penultimate lap down to 6th ahead of Gavin Amman, who made those 2 stops. And Nicolator, Biker Pilot, Novin and Ryan Schwab rounding out the field. Let's have a chat to Beaver, who has won this 6th race of the championship. Congratulations, Beaver, on the win. So many things to talk about from that race, Jamal. So great battle between yourself and Bozak, though. First of all, how do you feel to have taken the win here tonight?
Very good. I think this was probably our most dynamic race as far as setup of variation, and and even the battery deployment, that was a huge part of it for me. I think, I don't know about the other guys, but this race was so much fun. I think Bozak and I had very different setups, which made for great racing, in my opinion. I hope it was good for you guys to watch. That was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it certainly was good racing to watch, especially in terms of us trying to figure out what was going on, which is one of the fun things about being up here and not having the information. It's that we tried to figure it out along the way. Tell us a little bit about what your setup was like compared to Bozak's, and tell us why you think towards the end of stints you were so much stronger than Bozak, and at the start it seemed to be the other way around.
Yeah, so this is actually the first race of the season. I did some homework. I put in some time to put in a setup. So I was trying to decide between low and medium downforce to start with. And I started with those, practiced them, and the tire consumption, tire use seemed to be the same, but the tire temperatures were higher on medium. So that was where I started with low. And then my hope was, there's like 2 good passing zones here, right? So if I could try to use those to get the straightaway speed, if I could just get in front of someone, I think I was fast enough in the slower sections for dirty air, keep someone behind me. So I think that's why in the long run, this setup worked better for me. The tire temperatures were lower than medium, and then I was using less wing as well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we got some of that right in the end. But thanks so much. Which is always nice, isn't it? But congratulations on taking the race win, and thanks so much for coming to have a chat with us at the end of the day, Beaver. Of course, you've now taken the championship lead in terms of total points, at least ahead of Notovin after tonight. So congratulations on everything, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wish that we could have seen how that race would develop between Notovin and myself. I think he would have won it if it looked like he had a hardware failure, but either way, he had a lot of pace. I was lucky enough to keep my stuff together.
We'll have to investigate a little bit what happened to Nottingham, because we thought it was a hardware failure as well, but it turned out he did just pull off the road by his own accord, it looked like. So
Interesting.
we'll have to try and get to the bottom of that. Anyway, congratulations, people. I'm sure we'll see you again very soon.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Beaver, who's taken the race win here tonight from Spa, just ahead of Bozak in the end, who I guess we can pose some similar questions to. Bozak, congratulations on second place. We just heard Beaver telling us a little bit about the battle in terms of setup, or maybe the battle in the battle, if you like, the difference in setups and so on. How did you approach this race in your thinking when you were choosing everything in terms of downforce settings and everything in between here tonight?
It was a mixed bag. I didn't know what to do. It was either going like medium downforce or high downforce. I was almost going to gamble on it and go on a lower downforce, but with the track temperature being so high, I took the safer option.
Do you have any sort of maybe regrets is probably a strong word, but do you have any regrets a little bit about that way? Do you wish you'd gone the other way, or was there just no way of beating Beaver here tonight?
I would say I couldn't have done much because Beaver is Beaver. He's just fast no matter what. So I'll honestly take it, considering what I did. And I did the best I could, so I'm pretty happy. I don't have much regrets on it.
Absolutely. And you will be moving comfortably into third in the championship, with Nicoletta finishing down in 8th place as well. So congratulations on that. Thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of tonight, Bozak, and once again, congratulations on second place.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for broadcasting it.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. That's Bozak, second place here tonight at Spa in the Endurance Series. And Simply Steve manages to get into third place tonight as well. Congratulations, Steve, on the third place. How does it feel to be on the podium tonight after running for large parts of the evening off of the podium?
Yeah, I mean, good to have a race, race on your hands, racing for position, racing around other people. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to claw back to the podium. So,
in the races you have been here, I know you've not been at all the races this season, but in the races you have been here, it's been a pretty successful season, I would say, finishing up towards the top in each occasion. What has it been like to be in this series in the Ferrari this time round? You placed best Ferrari again here tonight as well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a little disheartening to watch the leaders kind of check off into the sunset. Not much I could do there. I didn't have the pace that they had, but yeah, I mean, I think the Ferrari has brought us some challenges. Like it's a tough car to drive, and it just as much as all of these cars are tough to drive, it feels quite different from the other cars. So I feel like we're kind of getting to grips with it, trying to get the car set the way we like, and yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of comes and goes with each track, but I mean, I'm happy to get good results and good racing with other folks on track.
So Steve, real quick, this is Jim. I want to file a complaint if you don't mind. Where did my bomb popsicle livery go? What happened?
Oh, did it not load?
Oh, see, I thought something was going on. Nah, it's probably my fault. I mean, it could be my fault. It could be on, some kind of trading paints on my end or something, because that's what I thought. Everybody's paint jobs seem way too plain tonight. So, yeah, okay. And that's kind of what I was getting at in a roundabout sort of way. But if you did change the popsicle livery, I was going to fuss at you because I love that livery.
Oh, of course not. I mean, my teammate worked nice and hard on it, and I did no work on it. So
yeah,
I have no way to change it.
Yeah, I refreshed and everything. It was obviously some sort of trade paints issue, but that makes sense because it just didn't seem like y'all would have changed. That was a nice, flashy, cool livery. I mean, so. But I apologize. I don't think it was my fault, though. It was more than likely trading paints. But
all good. Technical issues happen.
Well, you can. Today's broadcast was full of them. Yeah. But no, congratulations, man. I just wanted to give you a little hard time in case you did remove that livery.
Of course not. Never.
All right, man. Good luck coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll be back in business next time for that. Congratulations again, Steve. Thanks for chatting to us.
So is Nodovan around? Is he hanging around?
Not. Oh, he is hanging about. Yeah.
Yes, pull him in. Come on.
Just ask him. It's not really the normal format that we do. Sorry
That's
for
all right.
interrupting conversation. Notvin, that I'm sure you were having there. 10th place for you tonight. We saw you pull off the road around 15 minutes or so in. What happened there?
Yeah, my VR went out, so it went out middle of turn 7. So I straighten out the wheel, hit the brakes, hope not to hit nothing, and then try to get it going again. And then it popped up, but then it wasn't showing me a display. So I'm like, okay, let's get out of the sim. Let's go back into the sim. Got back in, had a 1 minute tow still remaining, and then waited for that, and then the rest of the race was fine.
Well, we were curious.
Very good job, by the way.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
is
sorry.
curious.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, very good job getting out of the way and not crashing into anybody where you couldn't see where you were going. That was the first thing I was going to say, because that's not an easy thing to do. But yeah, that solves a bit of a mystery here tonight. To be honest, that we've been trying to solve all evening, going through all sorts of different technical problems that we can think of. But how are you feeling at the end of the race? It must be disappointing to finish down in 10th, because as I think Beaver said to us when he was chatting to us, it would have been fun to see you, all three of you, fight out for the win there over the course of an hour and a half.
Yeah, it would have been quite interesting. Obviously, I can't say too much because the circumstances are different. But when I did rejoin the track, I was 37 laps or 37 seconds behind them. By the end of the race, I think the gap was only like 24. Like, of course, they were a lap ahead, but the gap on track. So, like, give or take, I was faster by about 15 minutes. But of course, they're fighting for position, and so of course, you don't need to go full push when you're at the front. So it's different circumstances. But it would have been interesting to see what would have happened.
Well, you threw down some big time laps tonight, man. There was yeah, I'm sure you're watching your lap times in the car, but yeah, I mean, you were running. I think you were the only guy in the 202s during the race. Yeah, quite impressive. Very unfortunate that you had that issue, and I'm sure you'll bounce back. And when drop weeks cycle for everybody and everything, hopefully this won't hurt you too bad.
Yeah, we'll see. But like my main focus was making sure Beaver didn't get a fast lap point. So I was like, there's not much I can do back here, but at least I can put the engine on attack and make sure he doesn't get that extra point and gain 2 points on me. So I kind of figured I'd do that, and then it also helps out the team a little bit. Like a single point's not going to matter too much, but you never know by the end of the season because the team points are not dropped. So if I could go from 1 point to 2 points, that helps just a little bit. But I think overall it helps me a little bit more so that Beaver doesn't have that extra point. But that, and also kind of trying to catch up to the rest of the field. I feel like if I had like another 30 minutes or so, I would have caught Nick. But we'll see. It would have been
wrong race. If it had been Road Atlanta, you might have had your chance.
Yeah, it's also the wrong race to tow at. I towed at probably the furthest point away from the pit lanes as well. So,
yeah.
Well, all right, buddy. We just wanted to pull you in and find out what happened. We figured it was something like that, and again, I'm sure you'll get it all worked out, and we'll see you back up front here in the weeks to come for sure.
Yeah. I think it's time for a new VR headset.
Yeah, just convince the wife of that. That's all you got to do.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, Jonathan. We'll see you, I'm sure, again next week or the week after.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, buddy.
That's not in 10th place tonight, but I'm sure we'll be bouncing back. And how weird, again, by the way, that one of their drivers from each Night Racing and Nick Square, by the way, we didn't talk about it earlier, I don't think. They're both going toe-to-toe for the championship. As Notovin says, there's no drop weeks in the team's championship. But again, both drivers, or one driver from each team, I should say, having an issue here today. Nicoletta hitting the wall through Puant, and Notvin having that technical problem with the VR headset. But that solves that mystery, and I think that pretty much draws our broadcast to a close. It brings us to just 2 rounds to go now in this Endurance Series Championship, and despite the fact that Beaver has won here today and Notvin's lost a lot of points, it's going to be mighty close for the rest of the season as well, and Sebring's going to be another good race in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to that. And, well, we'll be back in 1 week's time in the meantime for the next round of the Sprint Series. Only 2 rounds to go there as well, and an equally close championship battle. So we'll be back same time, same place with that one. For now, I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Jim Cunningham. And until we see you either for that Sprint Series race or the next Endurance Series in 2 weeks' time, it's goodbye from us here at Spa.